Pierre Poilievre.
Axe the tax.
Tax the tax.
Axe the tax.
Canada is broken. Everything is broken in Canada.
The leader of the Conservative Party has lost his seat in the House of Commons.
He had lost his longtime Ottawa seat.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has been defeated in the riding he held for 20 years.
So Mr. Poilievre represented this Carleton riding since 2004, holding the seat for nearly 2 decades. But in the most recent federal election, he lost his seat to a political rookie named Bruce Fanjoy.
Bruce Fanjoy, a first-time Liberal candidate defeating the 7-time MP.
Who won the riding with 50% of the vote margin. It was a significant defeat, especially considering Poilievre was leading in the polls by as much as 20 points.
Nationally, the Liberals way back at 23, NDP at 21, so Liberals and New Democrats within the margin of error.
Just a couple months before the election. At the time, many political analysts and supporters expected Poilievre not to win only his seat, but to also lead his party to a majority government. However, the outcome was dramatically different. Not only Poilievre did lost his seat, but the Conservative Party failed to form a government, despite the earlier projections of strong performance. So one of the biggest stories of this election was emergence of Mark Carney, a former Bank of Canada and Bank of England governor. Carney, who had never run for any political office before, became the leader of the Liberal Party and ultimately the new Prime Minister. In the real world, if you don't do your job, you lose it. These are some wise words of Mr. Poilievre, which didn't age well with the time. During the campaign, Poilievre often spoke about accountability and consequences in politics. Ironically, those standards appear to be catch up with him in this election. In this video, we will look how the campaign unfolded, the issues that shaped Canadian election, Conservative Party's unexpected defeat, and Pierre Poilievre's exit from Parliament. Pierre Poilievre's political troubles began when Donald Trump got re-elected to White House.
Because we are Americans, the future is ours, and our golden age has just begun.
And then he started mocking Canada with the idea of 51st state.
I would love to see Canada be the 51st state. Economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something.
And around the same time, major shift occurred in Canadian politics. Justin Trudeau, who had been Canadian Prime Minister since 2015, announced his resignation.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister.
With Trudeau and after Trudeau, the Liberal Party was in serious decline. The popularity in national polls had fallen so far that some political commenters speculated that they could lose official party status in next election. But then, unexpectedly, former central banker Mark Carney, while appearing on Daily Show with Jon Stewart, Carney hinted a possibility of running as a Prime Minister in Canadian election.
And you are of the Liberal Party?
I am of the Liberal Party, yes.
Are they looking for a new leader?
I think they might be, John.
Sir, may I recommend to you, with your charm and debonair wit, yet strong financial backbone, that you offer yourself have you offered yourself as leader?
I just started thinking about it when you saw it.
This small comment sparked a widespread discussion in Canada and breathed a new life into the Liberal Party. Following his remark on Daily Show, speculation around Mark Carney's political future grew rapidly. Media outlets, political analysts, and even international observers began discussing his political candidacy. While Pierre Poilievre had been leading in the polls for months, so Carney's presence started closing the gap. Voters who had been undecided and disillusioned began reconsidering Liberals under the new leadership. Within weeks, the Conservative Party's 20 points lead began to shrink. And for the first time in the year, the race looked competitive. As Carney traveled the country, his calm demeanor, technocrat expertise, and a message of stability resonated with urban voters, centrists, and even with some moderate conservatives. It became clear that 2025's election would not be a landslide victory for Conservative Party, as many expected for Poilievre. It would be a real contest. Pierre Poilievre tries to present himself as some kind of red tape warrior, promising to unleash energy projects. But if you look back his time in a Harper government, he himself blocked wind farm energy project in Ontario by supporting a moratorium on such developments.
Constituents, mostly in the community of North Gore, who asked that there be a moratorium on the Marlborough Wind Farm project. The project will add as many as 10 industrial wind turbines, some of them as close as 800 meters, to dwellings in the North Gore area. Understandably, this, along with reports of health problems related to those turbines, has led residents to call for this moratorium, and I present the House with this petition in order to encourage that outcome. Thank you.
The same pattern is playing out in Alberta. On one side, Premier Daniel Smith claims to defend Alberta's energy sector. On the other side, her government has introduced many policies that increase red tape for renewable energy projects, such as wind farm, solar parks. So one of the Alberta's bureaucratic trap known as pristine viewscape assessment. Nobody knows what it is. This is a vague policy to kill green energy projects. Poilievre often claimed to fight for middle class, but his record tells a different story. He criticized taxes on stock options, which are primarily used by executives, CEOs.
Mr. Speaker, we can't invest in our innovators by increasing their taxes, and that is what the Liberal government is currently proposing. Stock options allow us to attract the most talented employees by giving them a piece of future gains in stock values, enticing today's talent with a piece of tomorrow's treasure. That's why so many entrepreneurs have been so successful across this country. This tax increase will not only hurt high-tech entrepreneurs, but junior oil and gas companies that are cash poor but rich in promise. Mr. Speaker, I invite the minister to rise in his place and announce that he's on their side, that he'll keep taxes low.
As someone who's working in a culinary trade, I never once offered a stock options as part of my compensation. The only method I know, one is salary, the other one is hourly. Stock option is a convenient tax loophole, used not by a regular worker, but by CEOs and high-end earners who want to dodge taxes. Poilievre also promised to tackle gun crime and fentanyl crisis in Canada. Yet he was silent when Harper government cut 1,100 CBSA officers, people who actually intercept drugs and guns at the border. Instead, he picked the fight with the union that criticized these cuts.
I'm pleased to announce that our Conservative government has eliminated $1 million slush fund for the Customs and Immigration Union. It is outrageous that taxpayers were paying big union bosses to tweet about their radical leftist causes du jour instead of standing up for frontline officers. Shockingly, CIU bosses have taken the government to court today to get their slush fund back. They've also brought forward a laundry list of new spending demands at taxpayers' expense. Workers in Canada are forced to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in dues to union bosses who then spend it on illegal donations to the NDP, violent student protests in Montreal, ritzy hospitality, and support for Quebec separatists.
A lot of people might have noticed, in 2023, there was a sharp rise in hate on Instagram, especially targeting Indian communities. One of the most famous pages involved in this is 6plus. From the beginning, it always felt politically motivated. It reminded me of how newspapers in Nazi Germany painted Jewish community as a threat. So I wasn't surprised when I found Poilievre's videos on 6plus YouTube channel.
Here, answering questions for 6plus.
And I am Anna Poilievre here, Pierre's wife, here to ask the question.
What's ironic that Poilievre himself has a 571,000 subscriber on his own YouTube channel, which is about 23 times bigger than BuzzTV. Yet, he still chose to legitimize a platform that accused of spreading divisive rhetoric. That's not a leadership. That's called running a propaganda. But the guy who boasted about cutting down government spending, so now could cost the government from $500,000 to $1.5 million to get him a new seat in the parliament. His journey has been gone now in many ways, from bring it home to home alone, as Daniel Smith put it, beautiful homecoming. Conservative Party also gonna wait for their attack dog to come back to the parliament, if he comes as a golden retriever or a chihuahua. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Stay safe.